Discovering your sexuality in Italy, surviving racism in rural Mississippi, rekindling friendship through disastrous filmmaking, having one last hurrah with Professor X, running a millionaire poker club that gets fuddled by the Russians. Gets fiddled by the Russians. I don't know what that means, but these stories were brought to visual life by screenwriters with a passion for adapting the printed medium to the big screen. And the nominees are Call Me By Your Name, screenplay by James Ivory, based on the novel by Andre Aciman, who is sitting at my table. The Disaster Artist, screenplay by Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber, based on the book by The Disaster Artist, My Life Inside the Room, the Greatest Bad Movie Ever Made, by Greg Sestero and Tom Bissell. Logan, screenplay by Scott Frank and James Mangold, and Michael Green, story by James Mangold, based on characters from the X-Men comic books and theatrical motion pictures. Molly's Game, screenplay by Aaron Sorkin, based on the book by Molly Bloom. Mudbound, screenplay by Virgil Williams and Dee Reese, based on the novel by Hilary Jordan. And the award goes to James Ivory, Call Me By Your Name. And accepting is Andre Aciman.
I'm here on behalf of James Ivory, but I wanted to say a few words about this wonderful experience that was this movie. It started about 10 years ago on West 109th Street on a hot summer when I couldn't go to Italy and I was dying to be in Italy. And so I just went to my computer and started writing. And lo and behold, many years later, suddenly there was a film script by James Ivory, there was a movie by Luca Guadagnino, the actors were fantastic, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. I am at the source of all this, no way. And so tonight it's really my pleasure to read this, which are the words of James Ivory in California right now, probably saying exactly the same thing. I very much want to thank my fellow writers at the Writers Guild East and West for this honor. I'm so touched that you've given it to me. I'm not exactly a mere novice, but I've never undertaken a complete screenplay on my own in all the years that I was directing films. So I'm really moved by your enthusiasm. I also want to thank Michael Barker and his team at Sony Classics for all their work supporting Call Me By Your Name, and my neighbors in upstate New York, Peter Spears and his partner, Brian Swartstrom, who brought me into this project along with Luca Guadagnino. But most of all, I want to thank our actors. Sometimes one's actors tend to get overlooked in these kinds of speeches by directors and writers, almost taken for granted. But how very, very lucky we were. How lucky Luca, Andre, me, and I, James. All were because of the wonderful work of Timothée Chalamet, Armie Hammer, Michael Stolberg, Amira Kazar, and Esther Garel. Thank you all, James Ivory.